Did you know there are 10 weird everyday habits that psychologists say are actually signs of extremely high intelligence? And the thing is, most people who have them don't even realize they're doing it. I'm going to reveal all 10, and honestly, number 7 might completely change the way you see yourself. Hey, I'm Heidi. So I spent years, like genuinely years, thinking I was just a bit odd. I'd stay up way too late overthinking everything. I'd completely zone out in the middle of conversations, and I'd get obsessed with random topics for weeks at a time. And I honestly thought something was wrong with me. Then I started looking into the actual psychology behind these habits, and I was kind of shocked to find out that a lot of them are linked to higher intelligence. That completely changed how I saw myself, so I created this video to share what I've learned and hopefully help you see yourself a bit differently too. So, here are the 10 weird habits. And I'll be honest, some of these really surprised me when I first came across them. Let's get into it. Habit number 1. You talk to yourself. Okay, so have you ever caught yourself having a full-on conversation with yourself while you're making dinner or walking the dog? Maybe you've even answered yourself and gone, "All right, that's probably not normal." But here's the thing. Psychologists actually say it kind of is. When you talk to yourself, your brain is doing something called self-directed speech. Basically, it's organizing complex thoughts and processing information across multiple layers at the same time. So you're not losing it. You're literally running a higher-level thinking process out loud. Next time someone gives you a weird look for muttering to yourself in the supermarket, just know, your brain is working harder than theirs. Habit number 2. You're messy. Okay, this one is going to make a lot of people feel so much better about the state of their desk. If your workspace looks like a small explosion happened on it, books everywhere, papers, random stuff, that might actually be a sign of intelligence. And there's actual research behind this. A study from the University of Minnesota found that people in messier environments tend to be more creative and better at solving problems. The idea is that your brain is so busy processing complex ideas that it just doesn't prioritize tidying up. It's literally choosing innovation over organization. Now look, I'm not saying never clean your room, but maybe don't beat yourself up about it either. And you might be wondering, do I need to have all of these habits? No, not at all. Even 3 or more is actually significant. But keep watching, because the ones later on this list surprised me the most. Habit number 3. You stay up late. So, are you a night owl? Like, do you properly come alive at midnight when everyone else has gone to bed? Most people would assume that's just poor discipline, right? But the research actually suggests the opposite. People with higher intelligence tend to have naturally delayed sleep patterns. Their brains are kind of wired to create their own rhythms rather than just following the sun. And it makes sense when you think about it. At night, when everything goes quiet, your brain can drop into this deeper state of focus and creativity. The distractions just disappear. And that's when your best thinking has room to actually surface. Habit number 4. You question everything. Do people ever get genuinely frustrated with you because you just can't accept things at face value? You always need to know why or how or what the actual evidence says. That constant questioning is, well, it's actually a hallmark of higher intelligence. Your brain just doesn't accept surface-level information. It needs depth, it needs logic, it needs real understanding. Where most people hear an answer and go, okay, cool, your mind is pulling it apart, analyzing it, and kind of rebuilding it from the ground up. You're not being difficult, you're being thorough. And honestly, that's a fundamentally different kind of brain at work. Habit number 5. You prefer being alone. Now this one is really interesting, and it actually connects to something I'll talk about in habit number 10 that might surprise you even more. But if you genuinely enjoy your own company, and I mean not because you're lonely, but because your inner world is honestly rich enough to keep you engaged, That's a pretty significant sign of intelligence. Highly intelligent people often find that their own thoughts and ideas and creativity give them more stimulation than most social situations do. Solitude isn't isolation for them. It's freedom. It's when the mind gets to wander and explore and go deep without anyone interrupting. Habit number 6. You get obsessed with random topics. Okay. Have you ever fallen down a rabbit hole at like 2 in the morning learning about how bridges are built? Or the history of a country you've never even been to? Or how deep sea creatures survive in total darkness? 1 minute you're looking up a recipe, and 3 hours later you're reading about ancient civilizations, and you have no idea how you got there. That kind of random, can't stop, won't stop curiosity is actually a huge indicator of intelligence. Your brain isn't just looking for what's relevant. It wants to understand everything. And here's the cool part. Every one of those random rabbit holes is actually forming new neural connections across completely different subjects, which makes you a better creative thinker and problem solver without you even trying. Now, have you noticed a pattern yet? A lot of these habits are things most people would see as weaknesses or weird little quirks. But the psychology says something completely different, and habit number 7 is probably the one that most people get the most wrong. Habit number 7. You overthink everything. Do you replay conversations from like 3 days ago? Do you analyze what someone meant by that one sentence? Do you think about the consequences of the consequences of the consequences? Yeah, most people would just call that anxiety. And look, sometimes it is. But overthinking is also a sign that your brain processes information at a much deeper level than average. Your mind doesn't just see what is. It maps out what could be, what might be, and what should be. It's basically running complex simulations all the time, preparing you for outcomes that other people haven't even thought of yet. You're not broken. Your brain is just operating at a frequency that most people don't really have access to. Habit number 8. You have a dark or sarcastic sense of humour. So if your jokes regularly go over people's heads, or if your default setting is dry sarcasm and irony, that's not you being weird. That's actually cognitive complexity at work. Processing that kind of humour requires your brain to handle multiple layers of meaning at the same time. The literal words, the intended meaning, the context, and the irony, all at once. So when you make a joke and nobody laughs, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not funny. It might just mean your humour is operating at a level that needs more processing power than most people have available, which is honestly kind of a funny thought in itself. Habit number 9. You forget simple things but remember complex details. Okay, so this one I find genuinely fascinating. Do you lose your keys constantly, but remember some random fact you read like 2 years ago? Do you miss appointments but recall entire theories in perfect detail? That's not bad memory. That's selective memory. Your brain is basically prioritizing what it considers important. Everyday stuff like where you put your phone just doesn't stimulate a high IQ brain enough for it to bother storing that information. But complex, interesting information? Your mind locks that away permanently. Think of it like a computer that refuses to save basic files because it's too busy running advanced programs. Those forgotten keys aren't a flaw. They're a sign your brain is just occupied with much bigger things. And now, habit number 10. And I saved this one for last on purpose because it's the one I think most people completely misunderstand. Habit number 10. You adapt your personality to different people. So, do you act slightly differently depending on who you're with? Do you kind of mirror someone's energy without even thinking about it? Some people would call that being fake, but psychologists actually call it something completely different: cognitive flexibility and high emotional intelligence. Your brain is reading social situations in real time, understanding different personality types, and adjusting how you communicate for the best possible outcome. That's not being fake. That's being socially brilliant. and it requires an extremely high level of processing power that most people just don't have. So there you go. 10 everyday habits that psychologists actually link to extremely high intelligence. And here's the thing that I think most people miss. Having a high IQ isn't about being perfect or having your whole life figured out. In fact, a lot of highly intelligent people struggle with everyday things precisely because their brains are just wired differently. Your weird habits aren't flaws, they're features. They're signs that your brain is processing the world in ways that most people honestly can't. So if you've ever felt like you're too different or too much, or like you just don't quite fit in, maybe it's because you were never really meant to be average. If you saw yourself in this video, hit subscribe. I'm making more just like it.